It looks like the starter is running intermittently, but what's happening when I try to start this thing is I think the starter throwout gear is somewhere in here, and I think what's happening is it's either stuck on the flywheel or it's not coming out. This doesn't seem to have much fluid or any fluid in it in the primary, and there could be some corrosion setting up inside, and normally a starter would be drenched in oil. That gear would be drenched whenever the engine's on. There's a chain, primary chain that goes around, and no matter what you're doing with the clutch, it's going to be spinning and kicking up fluid all over the inside and lubricating things. And I think from this sitting so long, it's locked up. So I got to pull this case off. So to pull the case off, you have to release the tension. You have to basically adjust the clutch all the way out so the lever is flying way easy without any resistance. And you also have to make a clutch adjustment. You have to do something here to release it. I'm trying to get this bolt off. It's a little tight. I've just put some PB Blaster on it, and I'm going to do a little tapping, see if I can get it off. And I guess, and you have to drain it. If you have fluid, there's a drain down here, and also there's a Phillips head screw for that, and there's also a bolt all the way down. Let me get in a better position. The chain, the primary chain that goes around, has a keeper, or it's almost like a Teflon plastic that takes the tension. It's a tensioner, chain tensioner, and that's your adjustment for your chain tensioner there, and you have to back that out in order to get the cover off. Here comes helicopter. So you have to take that bolt and unadjust it all the way, or you won't be able to get the cover off. Also, you have to unadjust the clutch to get the cover off. You get everything released, but if you don't have that taken out, then the cover won't come off too. That's another thing. So I'm going to start disassembling, and I think this bolt right here, you can see it, this bolt right there, that's where the pivot is for the chain adjuster. There's some kind of spring on there too that offers a little bit of tension. It's kind of hard to get back together. You have to pay attention what's underneath, without ruining the gasket. And inside here, I don't think you can see though. I don't think you can see inside. Maybe you can. There's the primary chain in there. That one came off easy. And for all you folks working on stuff, when you put this back together, remember to put anti-seize compound on these threads so you'll be able to get it apart, because they use this special tool to get that out. Like this, with a little groove on it. And they don't give you much to bite on. I don't really like the way that's done, but that's kind of the way it is. Unless you change some aftermarket piece, that's a stock piece. But if there's no fluid in there keeping those threads lubed, this might be hard to get to, but that has to come off to be able to get this apart. So that's what I'm going to struggle with, and I'll see you in a little bit. I just want to video this bolt real quick. Let me get down here on the ground. Okay, so I got this access cover bolt off with persuasion, a little bit of PB Blaster, and tapping. Tapping works good. So let's take a look and see what we have. So this piece here, you can kind of see some corrosion on there sitting on. Definitely don't want to leave a bike without primary fluid in it. That was not a good decision. But what you can see the threads on here, and this slot right here is how you adjust the clutch. That's how it's done on this year bike. And when you squeeze the clutch lever, this whole thing will turn this way. This whole outer piece will turn. And that there's a ramp in there, there's little ball bearings. And when you turn, then it forces either inward or outward motion, I'm not sure, but when you squeeze the clutch, that's what pushes on the clutch spring and activates it and deactivates it. And I was able to get this other screw out here, this guy here. When I took that out, I used an impact driver, another handy tool, an impact driver. You don't need air tools, but it's nice to have it, but this is quick and quiet. So that's on there. I'm going to release this, undo this bolt right here and get some play in the clutch cable, and then I'm going to release that and work on the primary chain adjuster, release that. So I didn't want to stop or have dinner without having this thing off here, because it's without getting the access to this, you can't do anything. It's stuck. You'd have to cut it off or torch it or something. So that's it for this quick video. To get the side cover off an 85 iron head Sportster. They're a little different. They're not all the same. Okay, so you gotta pull the foot peg holder off, and you'll see a pin. It goes in here, and then this is the gear shift lever. That's got to come off. Also pay attention to, there's a seal around here that can go bad. You might want to change it if it's been off a while. There's your drain for your fluid, primary fluid drain. I took off the adjuster for the primary chain. That has to come off to allow slack. And there's also another bolt here to 9/16, and that goes right in here. That's the stud for the chain tensioner, which you'll see when I get it apart. Also, what I didn't show before was this piece here threads onto this adjuster, and that goes all the way down in. That reacts to this piece here that turns when you pull the clutch lever, and that threads out. It normally goes in this way. When it all goes back together, it will go like that, and the spring would actually sit down in there. That's how it would go back together in the end. And I'll have to use this one piece with the clutch spring tool. I'll have to use this piece to thread onto here to compress the clutch in, so I can release the circ clip on it to take the clutch plates apart and clean them and get the corrosion and all that off. And all I need to do now is just take these Allen heads off around, and that should drop away. That's all there is to it. Simple, right? I forgot about a drain that's in the bottom of the transmission. This over here is not a drain. I told you it was a drain. That's an inspection. So when you're filling up the primary fluid, according to the book, you take this out, you pour the fluid up here, and then when it starts coming out the inspection hole, then it's full. So that would give you, it would keep a level of about down to here. But if you want to drain it completely out, I guess you could take the cover off. But there's a drain down here. Here's the plug, and it has a little magnet on there, I guess, to pick up debris. But you can see there's a couple drops of water that came out when I took that out. It's probably condensation, but I don't really know. So there's that. So if you really want to drain the fluid, I should have checked that first, but no fluid came out. So there was no primary fluid in this on this bike, which is not good. And it's been sitting for at least, I don't know, 3 years, and went through Hurricane Irma with no fluid in the primary. That could be what some of that moisture is. Could be seawater that blew in somehow. It didn't go into water, but like I said, it stood in full hurricane force winds. So there's that. Next step will be actually, I got all these loose. Got all these hex loose. These are all out, and I just want to put them in order so I get them back in the same holes. I'm getting ready to pull the side cover off, but it's dinner time, and that should be it for me. Okay, here we go again. So I took out the hex bolts, and all you do is take a little hammer and just tap, and you kind of, loosen it up a little bit. And what you're looking at too is trying to come over the shifter. You can see the shifter right here. And a lot of times you get a little corrosion on some of these things, and you're trying to push them to a seal, and it's swelled. So it's kind of tight. And you have the gasket that's going to separate, and sometimes it holds. You can see it's hanging on to that little stud down there, but it's releasing here. So I'm going to take a tool and push that out. This is a handy tool I got from Craftsman. You can use this, and I can get in there and peel it free. And you can see the chain a little bit. It doesn't look too bad. Well, I can't see it all. So I'm going to pop this off, and I can't do it with one hand. So I'll end this real quick video, and I'll see you in a few minutes. Okay, so I have the cover popped off, and you can see the gasket and a little bit of grease in there combined with corrosion. That needs to be taken and cleaned really good. It's still going to be hooked together by the clutch. Okay, there's your clutch adjustment. There's your clutch cable. Comes down and hooks into this little, I don't know what that is called, but I think it's not a clutch pawl. Not sure. But that device in there, when the clutch cable is moved, provides pressure, and the cable can come out of there, so I can release it. You can see all this funk in here. This is what happens. And you can see the chain doesn't look too bad. I'll try to steady the video better. And you can see stuff forming on the clutch. That all has to become apart. And you can see a little bit of rust forming on the shifter. That's the foot peg, holds it on. Down here, that's the takes up the pressure on the chain. Takes the tension out of your primary chain. This bike doesn't have a spring compensator. Some of the older ones will have a spring right here that takes a little bit of the shock out of. That makes it smoother. But older iron heads, it's different than this. If you have one apart, it won't look like this. And you can see all the crap up underneath. So I have to, next step is to take the clutch tool and slide it on here, and it'll go in and push it in, and then I'll be able to get a screwdriver right on the edge of there and take that clip right out and pop it off. See these little bumps? These little bumps are what's holding the clutch together. So I'll have to pop that out and then take it all apart. And also this bearing right here that you see right there, that's been replaced. It went bad. And when that's bad, it sounds like rocks inside your primary. There's the starter gear, so when you engage the starter, it kicks out, starts spinning the clutch basket, which will turn the engine and start her up. But I'm not sure what's happening with that, if that's coming out or not, or if it's stuck. So next step, I guess, will be to try to start it and see if this will spin and throw out like it's supposed to do. Maybe I don't want to take the chain off, but we'll see what happens, and I'll see you next time.